Welcome to the Forever Remembered podcast, Finding Help After Loss. A space created for families navigating stillbirth and infant loss, and for anyone searching for support, understanding, and hope after grief. This podcast is brought to you by the Ari Foss Foundation, where we help families facing the unimaginable through financial assistance, education, and community.
Today's conversation is one that's close to my heart in a different way. I'm sitting down with Ari's grandmother, Valerie Singley, who is my mom, Cindi Wilford, who is my mother-in-law. When we lost Ari, both of them were there, grieving as grandmothers while also watching their own children, my wife and me, go through the hardest thing we've ever faced. Grandparents carry a grief that does not always get talked about. People checking on the parents, but grandparents are always often left to hold their own heartbreak quietly while showing up for everyone else. Today, Cindi and Valerie are going to talk about what it was like for them individually and together and what they learned along the way. Mom, Cindi, thank you both for being here and trusting me to hold this conversation with you and being willing to share what you all went through. I know this is not an easy topic to discuss. So let's start at the very beginning. Let's go back to when you found out that you were about to have a grandchild. For you, it was not the first. For you, it was. But let's start with the joy and the excitement when you first found out.
It's just the thrill of knowing you're about to watch your child become a parent. For me, as an adult and a parent, I have found that the best thing is watching my kids be parents and just being excited to know I was about to witness that with you. That was the joy that I felt when you and Laura told me.
Yeah, same. I just was excited. I mean, I always wanted a grandchild. I know that Laura had told me that you and her wanted kids. There's some people that don't want kids, so yeah, I was excited. I was excited because I was going to be watching them, and kind of, I was excited to be able to take them shopping and tell people that this was my grandbaby, and even though hundreds of people do it every day, but not me.
Yeah.
So there was excitement.
Yeah, I know, Ari was stillborn, so he never took a breath. So it's a weird thing, like legally in South Carolina, he was never alive, like from a legal standpoint when it comes to death certificates and medical bills and all that kind of stuff. But like for me, I became a parent when I found out that Laura was pregnant, because that's when I was like, oh goodness. And so I got to grow up. And so I imagine that was the same for y'all. It was like, that's when you're like, for you, like, I'm a grandparent, and you're like, I'm a grandparent again.
Yeah.
When you were told, not, the birth. It was when you were first told, because that's when the joy of the future started.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's when you start planning. As you said, you thinking about taking them shopping.
and
you start planning. You don't start planning just the infancy. You're looking at their whole life ahead of you. Is kind of what you just suddenly look at. Yeah.
I remember a conversation I had with you, and I can remember where it was. It was in my garage. And I was telling you how I was excited about having Ari and watching him. And I remember you saying at that time, remember, Grandma, not too many sweets. Not sugar. No sugar.
It's exactly what I was going to say was, I bet you both were already planning how to spoil them.
Yes, of course.
So.
Ice cream and lollipops and Yep.
All right, so let's take a turn to the sadness now. So that phone call. I remember making phone calls. I don't remember the phone calls specifically to y'all. I remember I had to do it. I made the phone calls. But what were your initial thoughts? And then not just your thoughts, but like what came next for each one of y'all?
The initial reaction was definitely shock, because when I picked up the phone, that was not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to hear, he's gone, he didn't make it.
And I should interject here real quick. For those who are not familiar with Ari's loss, we went in for a healthy delivery and things went sideways. So both of them were waiting for a phone call to say, Ari is here, healthy and safe.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I was excited at first and maybe even started saying such, and I could tell the tone, just the quietness on the phone from your end, that something wasn't right. And then those words, panic and total disbelief, and just the thought of, how can I get to my son and his wife as fast as I can? How can I get there? How can I get there? Because of course I got to get in the car and I got to drive there, and just a little bit of fear of, can I keep it together long enough to get to the hospital? I did reach out by text, because it was, in the evening, to two of my friends and said, listen, here's what happened. I'm headed to the hospital. I'm not thinking totally straight. Say some prayers for me to get there safely. And then when I got to the hospital, thankfully the first people I see coming across the parking lot was Cindi and Greg. And just knowing that I was now with somebody who knew what I was feeling, it gave me just a little bit of courage and comfort to just join them as we went into the hospital.
So it was a rough night.
It was.
That is for sure.
Early morning.
So what did those next few days look like? So the initial shock occurs, and you both, get through that first night. What was it like for y'all, with the funeral planning? You both came to the hospital repeatedly to visit Laura, myself, and Ari in there. For those of you who don't know, when you've lost a child in the hospital, they'll let you keep your child with you, depending on the situation, for a while, so that we at least got some time with him. We have pictures with both of y'all holding him. So those next few days, like in looking at providing advice to others who've gone through this, anything that you did that you're glad you did, anything you wish you would have redone when it comes to far as like grief in supporting yourself?
I know that you were worried about me being alone, because you voiced it a few times about me going home and not having anybody at home to lean on. Those next few days, I did what I usually do when things throw me for a loop, and believe me, this is by far the toughest thing I've ever went through, is I leaned into helping others and trying not to focus on what I was going through. After I'd left the hospital that night, I didn't go home. I went to work. And of course, at the hour there was nobody at work. Texted my boss and told him what happened. I said, I'm back in such and such an office. I'll be sleeping on the couch. Please come talk to me when you get to work. And he did. And of course, those people that I was real close to at work, he let them all know. Go back and talk to her. And that is, anytime I wasn't at the hospital, I was at work, because those people, I had to help them in their careers, and it was their nature to also help somebody else, and they were around me. They would take the time to just talk.
And you were working in an Air Force squadron.
I was working in an Air Force squadron, and so they themselves go through a lot of trauma in their job, and didn't matter what it was, they understood that a friend needed just somebody to be there.
But you were like family to them.
Right.
You are family to them. They are family to you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. So I leaned into that, and even some of the volunteer work. For a long time afterwards, I really leaned into some of my volunteer work. So that's kind of just those next few days. Whenever I was at the hospital, honestly, I don't know if Cindi remembers, but there was times Greg and I would just look at each other, and we'd kind of mouth little encouragements back and forth to each other of, just stay strong. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
That's really all we could do was be there when we knew what you guys wanted us to do.
And I think we even tried to schedule times when we wouldn't be there together.
So
that one of us would always be there.
yeah, we did a couple times try to, okay,
Try
you
to
guys
schedule
going to
it
be
out.
here if you're not. So
Right.
we did do that.
And we would interlude.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I remember also on the way to the hospital that night, I called Laura's brother. Woke him up, Michael. He lived in D.C. He told me he would leave in the morning and get here for his sister and Aaron. And of course, we went to the hospital, and it was, when we got home that night, we went to bed, but neither one of us slept. I mean, it was just like, did this really happen?
yeah.
Am I dreaming? I don't remember exactly what time we got up, but when we got up, Michael showed up. And he just drove all night because he had to get to his sister.
Yeah.
I really don't remember a lot of things. I do remember getting to hold Ari. I remember Laura had to go to the bathroom, so she gave him to me. And I remember going over by the window and holding him and talking to him. Mm-hmm. Just like he was an alive little baby. I mean, he was my grandson. He is my grandson. And I didn't know what else to do, like for Laura, for you. I didn't know you as well, Aaron, as I do now. So I concentrated more on Laura. And just you could see the change in the girl, the woman that I knew was no longer there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm assuming that the change in you were no longer there either, because you were going through the same thing she was. And I do remember saying to her, whatever you do, don't let this destroy your marriage. And she goes, Aaron and I won't let that happen.
Yeah.
And I said, good.
Now you could see right from the beginning the connection of
Yes.
Laura and Aaron supporting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were there for each other.
So y'all, like as you have talked, have really kind of hit the nail on the head of the initial thing I said earlier, where you're not necessarily fully focused on your grief because you're worried about your children.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's like, and so it's one of those weird things, because like I only know I haven't lost a grandchild. My
Thank God, I hope you never do.
Yes.
my daughter is 10, so we got many years to worry about that. So I don't know what you went through. So I don't know what you went through, and so it's one of those hard things. So
It's like you're grieving, but you can't really grieve because you've got to help these other people grieve, because it is their child. And my responsibility is to help my child.
Exactly.
Her husband. I mean, I don't know what it's like to lose a child. It also helped me, kind of on a different topic, to understand my mom more. She lost 5. 4 of them were miscarriages. Anne Marie lived 4 days, July 2nd to July 6th. She'd be a year older than I was. And it confused me that people were always afraid, and I know you and Laura were, that people would forget.
I'm afraid of forgetting.
No, I can't forget.
No.
And I know that when my mom and dad, when people would say to them, how many children did you have? They always said 3. Me and my 2 brothers. And I remember thinking, no, you had 8. You lost 5. How can you forget or not acknowledge that you had 8 children? But times were different then. I could never forget Ari.
Well,
I mean, ever. How can you, not forget, but just, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you never forget. It's you. We all have to find our new normal.
Yep.
And if you don't prepare yourself properly for the new normal, my new normal, as you mentioned, is when they ask how many kids, they say 3. Well, somebody asked me how many grandkids, I always say 5, and 1's in heaven. Mm-hmm. And people aren't used to that. You're right. In our younger days, that was not how people, but now people do. It's the state may not consider
that Ari was there, but Ari is there.
Yeah.
So when people ask me how many children do you have, I always say I have 2 at home.
Yep.
And so the reason is I run the Ari Foss Foundation very public about my loss, but in my day-to-day and just casual conversations with people, would you like one?
No, I'm good.
My casual conversations with people, I don't want to get into it all the time. And so that's why I specifically say I have 2 at home. I don't ever say I have 2. I say I have 2 at home. And if someone were ever at home, I would then follow up. But that's how I kind of thread that needle. Because I do have 3 children. Just one of them has already passed away. And so, again, it's just like in those conversations, I just don't always want to get into it. And sometimes it's not the appropriate place to.
Right.
And so...
But a lot of times people don't... I mean, it's sad to say, but as a grandmother, I find a lot of times people don't ask. It's like they don't care. I will say, I have 3 grandchildren. One of them died during childbirth. I say during childbirth because in my mind, Ari should have been born alive. Extenuating circumstances, he was not. So I always say during childbirth. And I have found that people say, I am sorry for your loss, and they drop it. So that's my experience. But not everybody has that experience.
Grief is difficult for people to talk about.
It is. It is. But to go back, it's different, but as far as the loss goes, when we're talking about having 3 grandkids, I went into counseling. And I remember shortly after we lost Ari, Laura lost her dog, Jack. And I remember mentioning that to the counselor, and she said, well, grief is grief. You may grieve differently, but... And I remember just thinking about what I was going to do today, and I had 3 dogs that passed. And I say goodnight to each one of them. I have their ashes. And I say goodnight to each one of them. And I remember thinking about how, did Pokey exist? He's been dead for two years. And it's not like did he exist, but man, you just forget. You don't forget, but it's different how you view your life with them now. I never got to view a life with Ari, except in my mind of what it was going to be. And that was what was lost.
That's one of the things with grief and losing children is you lose the future that you imagined. And so it's not just that loss, it is the future. So
and finding a way to deal with it at the time is tough. I kind of had a mantra that I would anytime I was going to be near and with Aaron and Laura, I had a mantra that said, get through the door. Get through the door. In other words, when I got through the door with them, that was my strong face. Mm-hmm. And if I felt myself starting to let down my shields, because yes, as the parent, we don't want our kids to see us lose it, just to myself, get through the door. And as I was leaving, getting through the door for me was just get through that door and you can lose it when you get to your car. Mm-hmm. And so many times I'd get to my car and I would just sit there for the next 5 minutes and deep breaths, cries, whatever I need. At home, frequently that's all I did was made it inside the front door and I just sat down on the floor because that was just where I needed to be at that moment. So that was kind of a mantra I ran through my head to try to stay strong in front of my son. Yeah.
I wish I could have done that.
So, and I'm not an easy one to support. So,
we all can be difficult at times.
Yeah.
At times defines my life. So. It's a little odd. So what both of you described is a lot what I went through that first several months of grieving. I put my grieving on hold to be there for Laura.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like I bottled stuff up and just hid from it to be there for her. And so it sounds like in a different way, it was still a little parallel in how we put grief on the back burner for the sake of somebody else, which is tough. I mean, I speak from personal experience, and it ain't the right way. So I spent time in therapy getting it.
Yeah, I couldn't put it on the back burner like you did. I couldn't. Anytime I was with her, I was in tears.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
So in looking at y'all's support system, do you recall anything that anyone did or said that helped you along the way? Like even if it was just like a friend that you would talk to.
I had a lot. I did, and I'm very, very thankful for that. I mentioned that I had texted two of my friends when I was driving to the hospital. You may not have known this, but one of them showed up at the hospital. Ganelle, one of my friends from church, they come back and pulled me out of the room one time, said, you have somebody here to see you. And when I went out, she gave me a hug. She says, I'm not going to stay because I know you need to be in there. She said, but I knew you needed somebody here for you. So I was able to spend about 5 minutes for her and then come back in. And it was, I had experiences like that a good bit. I had one young man, he was at that time, he was a exchange officer from England. And when he heard what happened, he came in and he just parked himself on the chair. There was a blue chair in my office that everybody laughed about. When I retired, I was supposed to take the chair with me because, everybody, they thought of Miss Val, they thought of the blue chair. But he came in and he shut my door and he sat down and he said, all right, we're going to talk about childbirth. And he said, of course he went, his condolences and everything. But we probably sat there and talked about childbirth and how it is the most dangerous journey that we all have to take, but nobody ever talks about it. And he just talked to me about it. And it was amazing to have a young person have the awareness to know, go ahead and broach the subject. Mm-hmm. Don't let any subject hang. Somebody's going through grief, and it's hard to approach somebody going through grief because I'm always afraid of saying the wrong thing. But this young man came and sat down and just said, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And we did. And if you go in my dining room, there's actually a plaque on my wall that he bought. And he had bought it, I think, the day after this conversation. He hung it on my office wall, and he says, anytime you're having trouble, read this. And so that plaque is still on my wall. And there was just, people who came to the funeral from work. 3 of them standing along the side. My commander, Colonel Therio, was there. Jason Morrison, one of the other officers, and then Jim Harris had worked with me in the past. He was in the flying squadron, and just to know they stood off to the side because they didn't want to disrupt the services or anything, but they wanted to make sure that they were there. Yeah. So it was there was just so many of them. Sheila coming up from Florida to stay with me for a few days because she, knew I lived alone, and so just made fun of me the whole time she was here.
That's what sisters do.
And exactly, it was to just give me something to have a few seconds of getting back to a little bit of laughter, and then when I got through that door, okay, put on the strong front, and so yeah, there was many. There was many.
So I had Greg, who was grieving. Yeah. I had Michael, who was grieving. Mm-hmm. I called my best friend Shirley. She talked to me. But I'm also that private. Mm-hmm. I'm more like you. I try to dig into other things. I mean, it was almost a year before I went into therapy because I just couldn't, Laura finally just said, "Mom, go. You're not handling it. And I can't handle it for you." Mm-hmm. And so that's when I went into therapy. But I did join a group on the internet, Grandmothers of Sleeping Angels or something. And they helped because they had all been through it. And we're still in touch today.
Yeah.
We help others. So, but I didn't really talk a whole lot to other people about it. Worked on the funeral.
Yeah, to you they were friends. To you found community amongst strangers online. For me, I felt a lot of support from people I never met before, just through like things that you did and raised. So like finding a community and knowing you're not alone is real important, because like you had said, when you got to the hospital, you saw her and Greg, and so you felt connection. And so it's like, it's a weird, I tell people, it's like, you're in a club no one wants to belong to.
Exactly.
And so
they bring that out in the group all the time.
And so it's finding people, even though, y'all went through the exact same loss of your grandchild, but from completely different viewpoints and experiences. And so it's, but finding people you can at least, you have that shared sense of loss and grief. And
well, everybody
really
handles
important.
grief differently.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different support group.
Yeah, there is really no right way to handle grief except what works for you.
I think finding support is the big thing, though.
Yeah.
Whether
Finding
it's through
support.
therapy, through friends, family, whatever it is, finding support out there. So I know when I talk, I get questions a lot of like things that didn't help and things that people said. So if someone's watching this or listening to this and they're trying to be there for somebody else, like, well, you had said, like, you don't know how to be there for others. Like, one of the things I always recommend is just be present. You don't have to talk. But all 3 of us have had things said to us that were just like, doop. So what, is there anything that you would recommend not to say to others, or things that were said to you that were meant to help, but just didn't because it...
I don't even know if they're all meant to help. Like, get over it. I was told that by a friend. Just get over it. She lost a baby. She miscarried a baby several years ago. And she says to me, get over it. I mean, I just looked at her and went, get over it? Like, you don't get over it. You get through it.
Yeah. For people to start, what I found not helpful, for people to start explaining or attempting to explain.
Why it happened.
Not that too, but more of why they weren't present for you for whether it be the funeral or something else. If you're unable to be there at the time to help, that's okay. Not everybody can.
Mm-hmm.
But then to come up and say, well, I know you probably needed me there, but I just couldn't. I couldn't deal with it. Just
not helpful.
Not helpful. Just no. Say, either nothing.
Yeah.
Or
even just I'm sorry I couldn't be there, or I'm sorry for your loss.
Just don't try to take away the pain by turning the focus on why you couldn't be there.
On yourself.
On yourself. It just, yeah.
And I've become more aware of that, trying not to turn the focus on myself.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend through the internet. I play a bingo game. And she's one of the leaders of the group that I'm also a leader with. And she shares everything. And she shared that her granddaughter had gone into her doctor's appointment to find out the sex of the baby. And they found no heartbeat. And I'm like, God, Lori, I am so sorry. You need to talk. Obviously, I'm here. Tell your granddaughter I'm sorry. I know you're close and she's going to lean on you. So, feel you can lean on any of us, all of us leaders and the group that I'm in and the bingo games. We're all friends, even though we've never met. So, and when I had never told them that I lost a grandchild, but after that, I did. I told Lori and all of them that I had lost. Actually, it was our day this year. I explained why I wasn't on, and I told them, and they were all, oh, I'm so sorry. Nothing they can do.
Yeah.
But. I guess you don't remember so much of the good things that people do. I think Laura had said that to me. She remembers a lot of the negative comments that people made. And, I can remember Greg's aunt calling from Amherst when we were at our little wake or whatever for and we had the family out after the funeral. And I remember she called and Laura says, I can't talk to her. And when I went back and told Dot, I said, Laura, she just can't. She goes, I understand. Just tell her I love her. But I just, I remember a lot more support, especially from family. And the one negative that the ex-friend, who lost a baby, or the comments of, well, there's a reason. Keep that to yourself.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear that.
That is one I don't like to hear.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah.
No, there's not a reason. God has things. I think you mentioned that in the thing with Judy. God has a reason for everything. God only will give you as much as you can handle. Those aren't helpful comments. And it isn't always God that's giving you the handling.
Yeah, it's I had a friend tell me, like, why don't you just get over, like, are you like, you haven't gotten over it? And when I explained everything to him, because I'd never told him everything, he gave me a hug. And so it's like when people say those things, a lot of times they're trying to be helpful from a point of not knowing the entire facts.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like when you don't know, don't assume.
Don't comment.
And that's when nothing else, just be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be there.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
And so, well, I'm glad y'all haven't had as many bad things said to you as I had over the years. Well, and also for the people that said things to me that were trying to be helpful, and they just missed the mark by a country mile.
Yeah.
So it's good. Well, going back to, like, you remember, there's a thing, like, you don't always remember what people say, but you remember how they make you feel.
Yeah.
And humans, as a species, we remember the bad things because that's how we survive. Like, don't eat that berry, it'll kill you. And so that's why we remember the negative so much more distinctly in these situations, because it's ingrained into us. So I find a lot of peace in remembering Ari. And so how did over the years, like, how have y'all, in your own ways, remembered them? That you want to share. You don't have to share.
First Christmas, after we lost Ari, I had bought, and I don't know if you've ever noticed it, it hangs with the stocking. I bought a little angel. It's a little silver angel that I have on a nail in the fireplace that says, "I can't hold you in my arms, but I hold you in my heart." That is there year round. I look at that every day, along with the picture that I have of him in a glass that sits in the living room. It's not a glass. It's, I don't know, maybe it was supposed to be a plant thing, but that's how I remember him. I have pictures of him in my house. You know, and I mean, he's here. I can't forget.
Yeah.
He's here. He's in my heart. He's in my head. I hear somebody that has that name, and it automatically goes to my grandson.
Yep.
You know,
I
don't. You know, I hear somebody say, "Hey, Ari," and I look around like, you know, cardinals. I have a cardinal that practically lives in my yard. That's Ari. He's there watching me. I mean, that's the way I believe. Mm-hmm. Not everybody believes that. Yeah. That's how I remember him. I just remember him.
I do a lot of stuff, and it's when I was able to go for walks, I used to talk to him when I was walking. I actually swear, I heard his voice one day. Mm-hmm. I was looking down, I was talking to him, and I heard a voice in my head say, "Mimi, look up." I looked up, and there was a motorcycle coming straight before me. Some motorcycle decided to pass a car and came up, not the normal way of passing a car, came up on the sidewalk. I had just enough time to move to my left, and he swerved to his left, or he would have hit me. I talking to him when I feel like it. Okay, he is involved in a lot of my passwords. I don't know if you remember the little lion sticker that I had at the funeral for us to put on our...
Yes, I still have mine.
We're gonna like, I am the least observant person y'all have probably ever met, so I've not noticed the angel. I don't know what.
Well,
so.
And I really didn't expect you, but I took...
It isn't for you. It is for us.
No. I'm just saying, like, you're both.
Do you remember what I even have on my mantle?
No.
It's not your house.
Exactly.
When you hear that's the question, I'm saying, like, if you both were bald, I wouldn't notice.
No,
I'm that observant.
That lion, I still have my lion today. I put it on a magnet and put a sealant over it. The one I wore on my collar that day of the funeral. And before I retired, it was always in my purse, kind of like just a memory stone. But now that I'm retired, it's in my purse now. I put it there last night. Now it's on my refrigerator. And so I just little things. When I go on vacations, and I really started this when I went to Israel, which was the spring following Ari's birth. Yeah, it's always, I never really know what to say with that. Went to Israel. And knowing the Jewish faith that when you travel to visit a grave, you bring a stone. Mm-hmm. So every location that we stopped at in Israel, I picked up stones, which I forgot to bring a stone for Ari's Day this year. And I still do the same when I went to Canada. When I want to go on my cruises, I try to pick up at least one stone to, in the future, leave on his grave site.
I collect shells for him.
Yeah.
We go to beaches, and I have a place I keep the shells that I have for Ari.
Yeah.
They're Ari shells.
So and just I'm very thankful that we have Ari Day. When I tell people, when people get around that time of year and they want to plan something like, nope, not that day. We're not doing anything that day. And so many of my friends now instantly, when we're trying to plan stuff for the end of July, go, oh, wait a minute, we need to make sure that we reserve Ari's Day.
We do the same thing with camping.
Yeah.
We don't go anywhere at the end of July.
I think for me, it is the most beautiful way, sad but beautiful way, to just take a break that day and do things as a family.
But you would be anyway.
So,
you would be anyway. If Ari was here with us, just like with Haley and Benjamin.
Yeah, we would be doing something.
We don't do anything on the days. We know what their birthdays are going to be and what we're going to be doing.
But so many people...
Ari shouldn't be...
So many people, when they lose someone, they give up. I shouldn't say give up. They don't celebrate anymore. I'm seeing a change in that, but I'm thankful for Ari Day.
Yeah.
I'm just very thankful for
in the
Ari
group
Day.
that I belong to online, they talk about Halloween, a Jewish holiday, and Easter, a Christian holiday. They go and decorate the graves of those babies because it's their holiday too.
Yeah.
And I find that, they don't forget. Greg and I were on vacation, and there was this lady that pulled up by the store, and Greg and I were walking, and as we walked, I noticed on the back of her car, in loving memory of, and so I approached her, and I said, you lost a daughter? And she says, yeah, I don't want anybody to forget her. So I had that on my car.
Yeah.
For everybody. And of course I said, I am sorry for your loss. And how anybody can forget a child is beyond me.
It's
it's beyond me.
It's not that you forget, like I said before. Right. It's you fear you're going to. It's not that you're ever really going to.
Well, I will never forget her daughter.
Yeah.
And I don't even know her.
So, yeah.
But I won't ever forget that.
I like Ari's Day.
I do too.
So I've talked briefly about it before, but for anyone listening, it was a combination between what Laura and I both wanted to do. So I'm Jewish. Yahrzeit's a big deal in Judaism, the anniversary of the death of somebody. And Ari's Yahrzeit is the day he was born. And so Laura decided that instead of it being a somber event, we should celebrate his birthday. And so, because that's what we would do if he would, like you had said, if he was here, we'd do something fun.
Do something.
So Ari's day, as a family, we go to his gravesite, we have cupcakes, and then we go to the aquarium and have lunch. So it's a nice little ritual for us, and I appreciate both of you, when you're able to make it, and which you all make the vast majority of them. And so it's nice. So thank you all for sharing that day with us.
Yeah.
So if there's another grandmother looking back, they found this podcast, they just had a loss. Is there any advice that you would give them in those first few days that you wish, either that you wish someone had given to you, or something that you did that was specifically helpful for you in this first few days? I will, like you said, your friend Giselle came and visited, and you stepped outside. To me, that was really important, because if she had come inside, I would have been very irate, because that was Laura and I's space, and they would have come in uninvited by Laura and I. And so you got your support while being respectful of Laura and I's space. And so, like, that would be I'm not a grandmother, that would be my advice, is when you do have your support, make sure it's not intruding on your child's space as well.
But I think your friend also knew that.
Oh, yes.
She wouldn't have come in.
And she did.
A friend would know.
She did, exactly.
Yeah, that's why she had the nurse go and get you and say you have somebody waiting for you.
Exactly.
She didn't just walk through.
No, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's kind of what I would tell to another parent is, number one, take a deep breath, because it is going to be rough.
Long.
But then step back. Let your child know you're there, but step back. We're parents. The first thing you try to do is kiss the boo-boo all better.
Right.
You can't do that. Step back and let your child tell you what they need you to do. I can't come in, and nor should I have come in and told them what to do. Even when I started the GoFundMe page, I asked first, because I knew they were private. So as a grandparent, it may help you, but it may not be the help they need at the time. So either step back and wait, or ask before you try to give the help that you think.
Yeah.
I actually had another airman come to me. They lost their child in 2020, and we had worked together earlier in the years, and he had known what happened with Ari. He was no longer here at this base, but he happened to be here for flying through, came to me, and I expressed my condolences. I think their daughter, I don't know if she lived for a day or two, but they lost her very quickly. And I gave my condolences, and he said, well, I'm actually here looking for you. I wanted to talk to you. And he says, I need a grandmother's point of view. And I said, okay, well, I'll tell you whatever I can help with. And he said, well, he's like, my mom's driving us crazy. He said, how do I get through this? And so I told him, the first thing I said to him was, okay, do remember that your mom's struggling. She's your parent. I said, like I was my son's mother. I said, but we're also the grandmother. I said, so not that our pain is not more than yours. I said, don't take that by what I'm about to say. I said, but it's like it's a double barrel for us, because we're watching our child hurt, and we've also lost. So we talked, and I just told him that you need to sit and talk with her like you're talking to me, and just explain Mom will let you know when we need help. There's some things we've got to figure out as a husband and wife, and we'll let you know when we need you. It's not that we don't want you there, it's just that sometimes we're not ready for what you're trying to do. And he after we talked, he's like, I am so glad you were at work today. He said, I really needed to hear. He said, I never thought about, for a grandparent, you are looking at it from two different angles. And he said, so maybe if I do talk to her, it'll settle down. Mm-hmm. So that's basically, as a grandparent, and as Ari's Mimi, just take a deep breath and remember, let them know you'll help, but step back in and wait till they want that help.
Yeah, just be there.
Yep.
You know, like we showed up at the hospital or, you know.
Yeah.
You just be there. Mm-hmm. Don't push what you want.
Yeah.
You know, don't, like I waited for Laura to say, even though I wanted to ask her, can I please hold Ari? I waited for her to say to me, do you want to hold Ari? I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Don't just assume, because it's not your, I mean, it's not that my feelings don't matter, mm-hmm. but her feelings should matter more. Their feelings should matter more.
Exactly.
And they're the one that lost a child. And I mean, that's what, you know, and for me, I felt like I also lost a part of Laura, but she lost that part of herself too. Mm-hmm. And it was hard for us because I was grieving so much and wanted to help her that I ended up in tears all the time when I was with her. So I had to step back even from physically being with her, because I was in tears and she couldn't help me and she wanted to help me, and that's not her job.
Nope.
It's to help me. So, you know, that's the advice I would give as a grandmother. If you are in such pain that you're not dealing at all with the pain, that you cannot control that pain, realize that your daughter or your son seeing you in that pain may be more harmful than you stepping back and talking on the phone instead of physically being there. Yeah. Because it's hard for them too to know that they can't help you. So
get through the door.
Just get through the door.
Yeah.
One day at a time, one step at a time. And understand that, again, I'm just a grandmother, but understand that brothers and sisters also feel that grief. Laura and Michael are close. And that is why he moved out here. And you know that. I know you know that, Eric. And, you know, and don't forget as years go by, like you say, it's been 12 years. Don't forget that people still grieve. It's like when I lost my mom, everybody was there and saying, oh, I'm sorry. And then 6 months later, you know, that's what you mean, like forget. You know, don't forget. Just remember, there are things that your child will do because they lost a child. Mm-hmm. That they may not have done otherwise. And remember that your other child is also grieving the loss of his niece and or nephew.
Yeah, as Shauna.
Yeah, and Shauna had a baby shortly before that.
Shauna had a baby a couple months before, and being on the other side of the country, not being able here to get to Aaron.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough on them.
Yeah, so.
You know, but the main focus should be the mom and dad.
Absolutely.
And you're all. I can remember, just as one last story, the first Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
After that. And I invited you and Laura to the breakfast that we go to at Oscar's. And I said to her, you know, let's go to Mother's Day, you know. Well, I mean, I'll go for you, but I'm not a mother. Yes, you are. You are a mother. You lost a child. You and Aaron are parents. You know, like you said, you're parents from the day you found out, even before you found out you were a parent. Mm-hmm. So yes, let's go celebrate Mother's Day even for you, because you are a mother. Nobody has to know anything. You don't have to explain anything or tell anything to anybody, because you don't have a baby there. It's Mother's Day.
Yep.
Celebrate it. And everything we do, we celebrate Ari.
Yeah. I remember going to that first Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I had brought a card along in my purse.
Yes.
I wasn't sure whether
Yep.
you had said, "Yep, give it to her." Okay.
Yep.
So, because you're just not sure how people are gonna.
Right. Right. How people are going to be, and it's understandable, but
Yeah.
it was our way of acknowledging that
Yep.
Ari is always here.
He's part of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
This was a wide-ranging conversation. It's a lot. So it's I learned something about both of y'all here. I hope you all have enjoyed the conversation. Is there anything that you would like to share before we wrap it up? Anything else?
Just the for people that are listening, help comes in many ways. Like I said, the biggies and stuff you ask, but just the small things is what I had said recently, and another time we were talking. Somebody, and I think I remember who did it, but I don't want to say a name in case I'm wrong, is, walked in and put a $50 bill on my desk and said, you're going to be missing meals and running around and getting gas. Don't argue, take it. And just there's ways that you can help make sure that those that are grieving are taking care of themselves. So, if you're a coworker or somebody around, help any little way you can.
Yeah. And as the parent or the grandparent, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to go searching for something that can help you.
So,
If you don't get an answer here,
yeah.
try somewhere else. Because there's a lot of things, a lot of ways to help.
Well, Mom, Cindi, so this is thank you both for sharing today. I know this is a tough topic. But you both highlighted the difficulties that grandmothers go through when there's this kind of loss. So I appreciate you sharing. So to everyone listening, thank you for being here with us today. If today's episode spoke to you, we'd love for you to share it with someone else you think might need to hear it that could help them. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Forever Remembered podcast. If today's conversation helped you, please share this episode with someone who you think may need it as well. You can learn more about the Ari Foss Foundation and our mission to support families after loss at arifossfoundation.org and our social media. Remember, your baby is forever remembered and you are never alone. We'll see you next time.